We can end up with hundreds or thousands of lines of code very quickly, and although we will be splitting them up into functions, they can still get difficult to read and navigate. Another way to make your code more manageable, and this happens in every programming language, is that we stop trying to keep it all in one file, and we just split it up into several files. Now, you wouldn't do this randomly. You wouldn't have half a function in one file and half in the other, but you might group several functions together in one file and several more in another. And this also makes it easier for multiple people to work on the same project by working on separate files. And in complex applications built by teams of software developers, it's not unusual to have hundreds or thousands of separate code files for one project. Now, JavaScript isn't a language that you'd want to split up into hundreds or thousands of files. It's unusual to have more than a handful. The question is, if you do split it up, how does the web page know where to find everything? Well, we've seen that the way that we tell our HTML page where our JavaScript is we use a script tag. This is what we've been using all along, and if we split our JavaScript into multiple files, we simply add more script tags. That's it. The JavaScript engine, the interpreter that's built into the browser, will load all of these and run the code inside all of these files. Now, because the JavaScript engine will try and run your code as soon as it gets its hands on it, order can be important here. So let's say we're linking to 3 separate JavaScript files: script.js, morefunctions.js, and functions.js. Let's say we have a bunch of really important functions that are going to be called by some code in our script.js file. Well, by default, what's going to happen is the JavaScript engine is going to try and run the code in script.js as soon as it loads it. And if it's looking for functions that it hasn't gotten to yet, we're going to have a problem. So order is important. Just be aware of any dependencies that you might be creating and whether you've loaded all the code you need to load, to make sure those important functions are loaded into the interpreter first. Now, having said that, for us, this won't be an issue. In this course, it's perfectly acceptable to keep all the things in one script file. But for future reference, and particularly with other languages, you will see the code that you work with typically split up into different files to make it easier to work on.